Hey entrepreneurs, I'm Kevin and welcome back. I have another book review today, and this one is How to Talk to Anyone, 92 Little Tricks for Big Success in Relationships by Leil Lowndes, a super famous communications consultant. And she frames this book as an update to the classic but potentially outdated book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that I'm sure you've heard of and probably have read before. Now, 92 Tricks is quite a bit, and she spans a ton of different topics for conversation skills and other things you can do to make yourself more personable. But I'm going to share with you my number one top tip today. So if you're curious to learn more, then just sit back and just keep on watching. All right, so my tip is a little bit general today, and that is you really need to put in some effort and do some prior preparation so that you aren't boring and normal in your conversations, right? For example, like if someone asks you, how's it going? And you just respond with a simple good and stock answer, right? That's going to kill the conversation then and there because it requires more friction and more effort from them to keep it going. Whereas Leil recommends that in that case, you should think about something to say afterwards, like something very recent, like, oh, I just came back from a trip to the lake. And then that would spark a conversation there and keep it going, keep things interesting rather than just push that awkward silence, right? Like if someone says just good to you, you're like, I don't know if they want me to ask them more, or I don't even know what to ask about. So there's just this awkward silence and it makes you feel awkward, makes them feel awkward. None of that's good. So very simple way to improve your common greetings and go from there is to come up with a specific interesting story that you can tell when you answer their question. Another one that's in the same bucket of preparation to make yourself sound more interesting is using better vocabulary. Because rather than using the same words over and over, you can come up with different words like spectacular or fascinating or riveting in lieu of other words that mean positivity like good or fine, right? It just makes yourself sound more interesting and spices up the conversation if you can mix in some words and increase your vocabulary by just reading some words and synonyms for what you use often. So instead of saying the same thing, oh, I'm well, or I'm good, or oh, you look good, you can say different words that really perk up their ears and capture their attention. And that's really good to make yourself a better conversationalist and make people more drawn to your magnetism, right? And if you do these tips and other ones she says, this is super important for you as entrepreneurs because there's a saying that really resonates with me. And that is when all things are similar, people go with their friends or they buy from their friends. So if people are considering your thing and someone else's thing, whether that be your company or your product or whatever, if it's pretty close to someone else's, but they like you more and they're drawn to you more, then they're more likely to go with you. So this is really important to improve our conversation skills. That's why I'm always reading these books, kind of mixing them up between strategy books and these soft skill books. Soft skills are super important in my mind, and I do recommend you reading books like that for you. Now, in terms of this one, How to Talk to Anyone, it wasn't my favorite. Like, yes, she offered a lot of different advice and tips that are useful, but it was information overload at some points because 92 tips is like way too many. Instead, what I would have preferred is her boiling it down into like a handful and then giving examples of how you can use that. That's just more approachable way of learning for me personally. But I think if you do listen to these tips, you can draw some common threads that go between them and build on that and just really understand the concepts and these 92 tips that can fit into various buckets you can use, but you don't need to use all of them, right? So it's probably good for a skim. Not my favorite one in terms of communication skills and charisma and things like that, but not a bad one either. Like if you want to read it, I say go right ahead. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this one. As always, subscribe down below. Give me a like if you want to follow along in the future in terms of book reviews that may be helpful for you for entrepreneurs. And also, I will always share my top takeaway of the book for you, just so you can get distilled down to something that's good and actionable for you. Thank you all. I'm Kevin, and I hope to see you guys next time.